I welcome you, dear members, from the previous lecture. Today's lecture is concerned with a planning phase. As we have already seen, the project planning and management life cycle encompasses 4 phases. As we say, that those are the ones we are going to concentrate on. In today's lecture, we are going to look at the planning phase, what is required within the phase, what is planning and what are the requirements, and who are the stakeholders in the planning phase. Let's proceed. We are saying here that this phase is the second phase in the project life cycle, and it involves creating of a set of plans to help guide your team through the execution and the closure phase or phases of the project. And as we said that you as a project manager, you may not execute the project alone. You will need other individuals to help you or to work with you in order to have an effective completion of the project. So in the planning phase, as we have seen that it's the second phase, you will be in position to come up with a plan. As we shall see, plan involves a number of things. Besides, even in our description down here, we have said it is created during plans are created during this phase, and you will look at managing time, cost, quality, change, risks, and issues. So as you are dealing with the plans, your main focus may be on what we have said, and as you are creating the plans, you will be in position to manage staffs and external suppliers, and here the project will be executed and will be completed within the budget and even within the time frame. The activities involved include developing the solution or the architecture. When you look at the design or the architecture, you are coming up with a prototype of how that project will work or how the project will look like. Okay, it's like foundation. Let's take an example of a construction project. The architecture the architecture stage, you will go to those people who are experienced in creating house plans. Then they will come up with a plan. A plan depicts what exactly the house will look like. Okay, so in this phase, you will come up with this, you will develop it. Then you will create the functional specifications. You will develop the project plans. You will also create the project schedules. You will set up the development and test environment. You will also do what we call the closing of the plan phase. Okay. Here, when we look at designing of, looking at the designs and the architecture, we shall just look at 3 different designs or different kinds of designs, where we have the conceptual design, where we have the logical design, and the physical design. With the conceptual design, it depicts the functionality for each of the major features of the project. The functionality, how will it work? Then with the logic, we look at the conceptual design, and we assign those specific tasks with their specific roles. Maybe you have those kind of components of the project, and you determine what will be the laws and how will they be functioning and how will they produce out what they are required to produce. Then with the physical, here we look at the physical piece of the architecture, how the project will come out. In fact, this is the real project, or this is the real object, or the real output of the project you are implementing. The second one, we talked about validating the technology. Here we are saying often in a parallel to the design process, the team validates the technologies being used in the solution. And during the technology validation, the team will evaluate the product or the technologies to ensure that they work accordingly, looking at the specifications provided by their vendors, as well as meeting the business needs for specific solution scenario. Now, when you look at the technology, sometimes you may be implementing projects that involve the use of technology, and if the team is not well versed with the technology, then it might be very difficult for you to implement the project effectively the way it is supposed to be implemented, because some of the technologies may need training before even being used. You may need to train your team. Again, sometimes we say that some organizations, their teams reject change because of the technology. So in that way, implementing technology in any kind of project may require you to set up some kind of trainings, and you even work with those people or the vendors, showing you how the technology works. Suppose you are implementing a project and you have tried to purchase the fingerprinting, whatever, those machines that works with the fingerprints. Okay, you may need someone who is expert in using them, and then we'll train you how to use them. Okay, so there you'll be validating or even sensitizing the team on how to use the technology. Then there is also technical project concept. Here we are saying after validating the technologies, the team then makes the initial pass at creating a model of technology to be implemented. And this one is the initial iteration of an effort that later produces the proof of the concept and ultimately the development of the solution itself. Okay. Then we have also a baseline or baselining the environment. Here we are saying during this time the team must also conduct an audit, and sometimes this one is known as discovery of the production environment. So here we are saying the baseline will allow the team to account for any change required or design issues that may cause the solution to be at risk. So identify them from here. Then you will also create what we call the function specification of the project. Here we are saying the functional specification describes the technical description, or shows the technical description of the solution. When I say solution, we are looking at the project output. It also represents the contract between the customer and the project team, and it is the basis for building project plans and schedules. Okay. There is also developing the project plans. Here we are saying while in the planning phase, it is recommended to create master project plans, which is a collection of plans that addresses all tasks to be performed. So you will identify them from here, and when you are doing it, you have to explain the project plan to the key stakeholders and discuss its key components. That is the first thing you must know while setting up the plans. Secondly, you define the sponsors and the responsible persons. Okay, the sponsors and the responsible persons. Here we are saying, when you look at the sponsors, you may just say that you are looking at the people who are funding or do funds the project. Then the designated business experts. These ones will define their requirements for the end product, because for them they have experience, they have expertise in the same project, so they will have just to define what will be output, and they even know how to deal with some kind of challenges or some kind of constraints while executing the project. Other stakeholders, we have the project manager, who will create and execute, or as well as controlling the project plan. Then the project team, who will build the end product. Then the end users, the ones who will use the product, and others like the auditors. Those are external stakeholders. They may not directly be involved in the execution and the maintaining the project, but they will be called upon if any kind of analysis, if any kind of audit is required, and they will come and do the project. It's not necessarily that they must be internal auditors. They may be hired at any time from external organizations or companies that deal in auditing functions. Another one, you have to develop the scope statement. While developing the scope statement, this one will be the foundation for the rest of the project, because it determines the scope of that particular project. Then you have to develop the scope baseline. Here we are saying once the deliverables are confirmed in the scope statement, they need to be developed into a work breakdown structure. That's one, we call it a WBS, work breakdown structure, which is a decomposition of all the deliverables in the project. So it will show you all the requirements within, or what will be delivered by that particular project you are implementing. Then another one, develop the schedules and the cost baselines. We are going to see or to look at the schedules and the cost baselines. We shall also have to look at these ones by the time we shall be looking at calculating and then determining the slack times and so on and so forth, when we are looking at network diagrams. And then the Gantt charts, we shall look at these. I think that will be unit 6 or unit 5, around there. We also have to create a baseline management plan, and you can create the steps the team will take to manage variances. We are looking at the changes to these plans. Then you have to look at also developing the staffing plan, which is the chart that shows the time period, usually months, quarter, year, that each resource you are using will come onto and leave the project. Okay. Then analyze the project quality risks. Here we are saying the project quality and the risks. Here, when you look at the project quality, it consists of ensuring that the end product not only meets the customer specifications, but is one that I was talking about analyzing project quality and project risks, and we said with the project quality, you ensure that the end product not only meets the customer specifications, but also the sponsor's requirements. Okay, so it should be of a great quality. The outcome should be of a great quality. Then with risks, here we are saying a risk is an event that may or may not happen. We call it a risk. It may happen or it may not happen. That's why sometimes when you say that person risks, he takes a risk, he's taking a risk, or that person always takes a risk. A risk indicates a certain event that may either happen or it may not happen. But with this, it may have a significant effect on the outcome of the project. And that one will even occur if the risk is there, or if the risk happens. We also have communicate the plan. Once the plan has been established, you need to communicate it. Where do you or to whom do you communicate the plan? Here we are saying one important aspect of the project plan is the communications plan. It states things including who on the project wants which reports, how often, in what format, and using what medium. So in this way, this communication plan will also outline that. And also the sponsors may need to look at that, because when you determine specific reports to be output, then you will have to determine who is responsible, or to whom will you be reporting as you as a project manager, and in which format does that person needs that particular report, and how are you going to deliver that report? Are you going to use emails? Will you use systems, these project management systems or management applications? Or will you deliver it in a hard copy format? Then after establishing a communication plan, then you will have what we call the kickoff meeting. Kickoff is like opening. So here we are saying the kickoff meeting is an effective way to bring stakeholders together to discuss the project. So all the stakeholders will be now in this meeting, so that each and every stakeholder knows which kind of task is assigned in order to have an effective project output. And here we are concerned to say that it is an effective way to initiate the planning process, and it can be used to start building trust among the team members and ensure that everyone's idea is taken into account. Because someone has a suggestion, you will have to look at it as something that is important, that something that will add value to the project outcome or output. Here we are saying these are some of the tasks that might be included in the kickoff meetings. Okay, one of them is business vision and strategy. Then project vision, that will be set from the sponsor, and even the vision and strategy will be from the sponsor. Then the roles and responsibilities. Then team building, team commitment, how team makes decisions, ground rules, how large the group should be, and whether subgroups are necessary. If subgroups are necessary, then they will be created in the process. Why do we create subgroups? Just because a task may be very wide, and you need to divide that task into subtasks, so that each and every member within the group has a specific role to play in order to have an effective project output. Here we have setting up the development test environment. Here we are saying the development, testing, environment that it must be properly set up before moving into the development phase. And this one is very important in order to maximize the development team productivity and to mitigate the risks. And here I can say, in order to avoid delays, the development and testing environments should be set up even as plans are being finalized and reviewed. Then here we have the closing, the planning phase. In this category, it requires completing a milestone approval process, culminating in the project plan approval milestones. When you look at this, you look at whatever was suggested in the PID. Remember we said the PID is the project initiation document. Here we have to look at whether whatever was suggested in the project initial document has been tackled or has been completed. And if there are some kind of tasks that have been left out, then this is the time to ensure that they are all delivered the way they are needed. I think let's end here for today. Next time we shall start from here. Thank you very much. My name is John Bosco. We shall start from there next time.